How's it going, family? Let me know if you could hear me. All right. We made it. We're alive. Got about 300 kicking things off. Appreciate y'all. Scotty Saturn. Hope you're having an amazing Saturn day. Perfectly synced. Much love over to LA. Dog Command. Hope you're doing amazing. Appreciate you. Time to get sweaty indeed. Dustin, how's it going, brother? Carrie, much love over to Ireland. Much love over to Sweden. Beautiful, beautiful. Carmen, much love over to Australia. Bruno, I heard your, of course, the last super chat, and then I did get around to your messages, but I'm not entirely sure what I could do to help you. I don't have any free time, brother. I barely have any time for myself. I'm in the process of doing so many things in my life, so many simultaneous projects. Share your thoughts with our community, tap into them. I'm sure many people in our community can share their thoughts with what you have in mind, but I don't really know if I have any energy to be taking on anything more than I'm already committed to. And best of luck in regards to you running for president of Portugal. That sounds pretty incredible. I wish you the best on that. Focus, Pocus. I appreciate your super chat, sending you lots of love. You said if there was a pre crime tech to come in the future, how would intrusive thoughts work with it? And would the tech be biased, give justification for AI to lock people up under the guise of safety? So I guess this comes from us a couple days ago talking about Minority Report. Me and Decode Your Reality have spoken about this quite a bit, and I never saw that movie until just a couple days ago. So it was a little bit of a theme of our last live stream. But I have no idea how such a thing can come to life. No idea. But I already have a feeling that there's tech we all have in our hands that can read our minds. I've actually spoken with many people who, not only in the United States, but over in Europe, even people over in Australia, who've said that maybe 10 years ago, even, that they would be talking, they would mention something, and then it would show up as an advertisement on their phone, typically on something like Facebook or, you know, one of these social platforms. And then it's even become this thing where people have said that they've just been thinking about something alone in their house, nobody's around, and then out of nowhere they would get an advertisement for that thing. Now, I'm not sure what's going on with that because I don't know if there's maybe some search engine things happening. Maybe somebody's thinking that all they're doing is thinking, but they're actually probably typing stuff into the internet. Maybe they put it into Google Images or whatever. Maybe they looked it up on Instagram and now it's data pooling together and giving you feedback on another platform that's interconnected. But I think that's kind of where we're headed, though. I think we already do have tech that could quote unquote read our minds. And a lot of it we just give straight up to the tech, don't we? I mean, look at the way we're all using ChatGPT now. We kind of just left search engines and went straight to these AI chatbots. And I think that's going to take our data and the questions we ask it, and we even ask it for its opinions. I think that's pretty wacky. But regardless if it's telling you the truth or if it's flat out lying to you, it doesn't matter. Majority of humanity will just accept that this AI knows best. It probably has the right answer. And yeah, one thing leads to the next. And it's sort of just doing all the thinking for us. So I think that's what we're in now. If I had to share my gnosis on what's going on, like what stage of this psyop we're in, we've already gotten quite used to using these smartphones and using social media. We give the data up to these technocrats. So we've already made it through phase one, normalization. Now we've already moved through demoralization. We already know this. And then after we go through all of, the little moments of chaos along the way that eventually bring order to the system, you'll already have the AI doing all the thinking for you, right? I mean, a lot of the time we already believe that the technocrats and these quote unquote geniuses, such as Elon Musk, know what's best for us, right? Which I want to get into a little bit later in today's live stream. Because what we just watched happen over the past week was an amazing chess move by the elite. I think I brought it up in my last podcast as well, how the fact that Rogan and Elon got together and released that podcast they did the day before the selection, that was brilliant. Brilliant chess move. We'll talk about it a little bit more later. But just to kind of round out your question here, and I appreciate your super chat, by the way. Let me reread it and then kind of cap it all off. He said, if there was a pre-crime tech to come in the future, how would intrusive thoughts work with it? And would the tech be biased / give justification for AI to lock people up under the guise of safety? We have a couple more phases to roll out before we can get there. One of which I think we need, well, not that we need, but I think in order to see something like this come to fruition, you will need to see ... humanoid robots. Then eventually those get normalized and replace law enforcement and probably military as well. Then once you see humanoid robots replace law enforcement, we'll already be normalized with utilizing AI on our devices. And the questioning and all of that kind of human interaction you would normally have with a police officer or cop or military personnel, that'll be completely missing. That won't exist anymore. I'm not sure what the time horizon on this is, but that's one of the things. And the second thing is self-driving cars. Probably need a couple of those things to roll out first. But You're asking a good question, and one of the things I might need to remind you and some other people of is people are already asking ridiculous questions that are like criminal on things like Reddit and what's the other one? Quora. People already ask ChatGPT about ways to commit crimes. I can't talk about this too much in today's live stream because I'm not even sure of the legal context here, but that's how fucking stupid people are. You guys know that, right? Like, people are so stupid that they're already asking ChatGPT and these things like Gemini, Bard, whatever, how to get away with stuff. Yeah, we're there. And you know another thing that we talked about last live stream that I want to get back to again is the fact that we're in the age of scammers, but that's coming to an end very soon because when we make it to the age of Aquarius, scamming won't be possible. And that's this minority report concept, like what you just asked about pre-crime. In the Aquarian age, there'll be no such thing as a scammer. It won't be possible. Truth will need to come out. So that's why when we're in the transition of ages, moving from Pisces to Aquarius, we need to have like an apocalyptic moment. And the apocalypse has already happened for all of us here. All right. If you're tuning in today, unless you're super young in this avatar, you already had the apocalypse go on for you. You've already been through it, guys. It was 9/11. 9/11 was your apocalypse. Maybe some of you it was C19, but for many of us, it was that magic ritual that happened on the world stage. And that was an energetic thing, by the way. It was magic, like pouring salt around the perimeter of the house type shit. You might not be aware of it, but it was. And that actually woke you up. That's why you ask people, what was your red pill moment, or what was the moment that you felt like you finally became illumined to what was going on the world stage? And probably 9 out of 10 people, again, unless they're super young, usually they're saying 9/11. And yet they hate the New World Order, they hate the Bilderbergers, they hate, Dick Cheney, they hate George Bush, they hate all the people that were involved. They know about Al Qaeda, they know about the Taliban, they know about all the psyops, but then they still have the audacity to be like upset about it and angry, even though it was the pill you swallowed that woke you up. So the same thing that you're proud to have now, which is consciousness, well, you can't blame the guy who handed you the pills, right? You can't blame Morpheus. I mean, sure you can, but it's time to become self-reliant. It's time to take personal responsibility. It's time to stop blaming and see things for what they are. Anyways, whilst we transition ages, that means that everything that was once happening will have to really, really ramp up. So if there was a volume knob on what's about to go down here in the simulacrum, it's going to move from 8 to 11. But the power switch was flipped during 9/11. And if there was like a dimmer switch on it during C19, they like flipped that dimmer up real quick, like a little too fast. Then they had to like, oh, okay, let's slow this one down. But we're not fully in the Aquarian essence just yet. We still have cash circulating in the system. We still have physical passports. We still have physical identification cards. And guess what? This is going to break some hearts. But it's funny. One thing I've noticed about my channel is my art gets a lot of people into the museum. But what makes a lot of people leave the museum is my live streams. It's kind of funny. A lot of people get into the museum. They're like, I like this painting. I like this sculpture. This is fucking sick. And then a couple minutes later, after you're done, perusing the room, the artist walks in the room and says, it's going to get really sweaty in here. It's going to get hot. Are you ready? And then most of the people leave because they're like, I can't believe this. What's happening here? I just wanted a bull run. I just wanted to make a bunch of money. And now this guy's telling me that what? What happened? What? It's like I've become the Grim Reaper. It's kind of funny. But I know those who know. You know that I'm speaking from my heart. You know that I'm ruthless in the delivery of my genuine stream of consciousness. I'm not here to fluff you up. I'm here to pour the coldest bucket of water on your head that you've ever fucking felt. And I had to do that to myself hundreds of thousands of times until I finally saw things for what they were. The illusion of this reality. And it's actually quite amazing to be alive once you allow this, because you see, this journey through the physical experience called reality is a gift. It's the best. It's not depression and anxiety and worry and fear about what is coming. It's none of that. It's glory. It's beautiful. When you walk in the museum, all you see is the beautiful, completed portraits. You see they're all completed. But you never saw the process of the painter nailing the canvas to the frame, chopping the wood, mixing the paint, making the brushes, the tedious hours, months, years of refining your process to make a complete project so that people could walk into the room, look around at it, and then go stare at their phone again. That's what it's like to be an artist. I get it. So this is why we're all going to sweat together today. Because the person who just won this selection has caused this really interesting sigh of relief in even the truther community. And I need to talk about why that's the most dangerous sigh of relief of all time. Not because Donald Trump is a problem, or that he's better than Harris or worse than Harris, or he was the best option or the worst. It's none of that. It's the fact that you let the snake into your house and then you got mad after it bit you. And I know none of you feel the bite right now. But when this thing called voter ID becomes your digital ID, and when ending the Fed becomes a CBDC, you're going to start to feel the poison running through your bloodstream. And you're going to go, oh, Waters said this 2 years ago, and I fucking hated him for it. Don't be mad because somebody's telling you in advance that you let the snake into your own house. And don't get fucking mad when the snake bites you. I'm just saying. All the technocratic advancements that are about to happen were planned to have happened and will happen. And all of the things that Trump is promising that will not happen will just happen in a different form. Is it a garden snake or is it a cobra? I'll let you decide. And it sucks to hear this right now, right? So many people are like, but everything felt so good. He's going to close the border. Oh. Is he? We need a rain on parades early, because that's how you become a master. Just getting around to this chat. Appreciate all 500 people hanging out with us. Anti-Gubernare, welcome. Servando, appreciate you sending lots of love. Anna, Belinda, greetings to Sweden. Appreciate you. Zachary says, can't remember the last time I caught a live. So happy right now to be in the sauna with y'all. That's right. Ian, much love over to Ireland. Appreciate you. And over to Australia. Living more. Appreciate you, brother. Hope you're having a beautiful, beautiful weekend. That's right. 2 live streams, 1 week. Putting in some work around here. Got a question from Q Kiwi. Says, need some advice on dry fasting. Had incredible insomnia. Also, how do you break a dry fast? And do you work out during? I do recommend light working out, because I'm not going to say 100% that dry fasts or extended fasting is completely catabolic, but if you want the most anabolic experience, you want to kind of take advantage of that increased HGH, which would be kicking in for sure, even on an intermittent fast, let alone an intermittent dry fast, and also a multi-day dry fast. So human growth hormone is going to be through the roof during this phase, and you want to take advantage of that. But then also, just as an insurance policy, doing perhaps some calisthenics could be incredible to just keep everything anabolic. As for advice on the dry fast itself, I'm not sure what your preparation was, but I always recommend preparation to be the same as the amount of time that you plan to do the dry fast. So if you're going to do a 24-hour dry fast, I would do 24 hours of prep. And also, whatever the way you did to prep would be a copy for the way you break. My perfect method would be, if I was to do a 24-hour dry fast, I would do 24 hours of fresh fruit or fresh fruit juice or a combination of both. No cooked food, no alcohol, no smoking, none of that shit. Keep it as clean as possible. Also, probably reduce your screen time if you can. It's quite difficult for someone like me, where I am working pretty much 14 to 16-hour days, and I do a lot of my work online. If that's the case, you could get yourself some blue blocking glasses, and that would be a really, really smart thing to do during your fast for sure, and also with your prepping and the breaking of it. And if you can, get a lot of sunlight in your eyes as much as you possibly can. I know that we're heading into the winter months, so the days are getting shorter. Perhaps you don't live in the area with the most sunlight available, but if you can, try your best to get some sunlight in your eyes. And 24 hours of fresh fruit juice, also copy the same for breaking your fast. And then it would almost be like a 3 day quote unquote fast, with really 24 hours being 100% dry. So no water, no food. Um, some people are very hardcore where they don't do any shower, no washing their hands, like they keep it really super, super dry. That's up to you. I'm not trying to make it more difficult than it already might be, especially if it's your first time. But then when you start getting into 2 day, 3 day dry fasts, that's where you have to be a little bit more on the ball with the preparation. Otherwise, you're going to have a really hard time. One thing you could do when you're preparing for a multi day dry fast is the day before you can load up on perhaps some liquid magnesium and then also a little bit of baking soda added to water with like high quality Celtic salt. I'm not the biggest proponent of pink Himalayan salt anymore, although it is what it is. They're all inorganic minerals. So you're kind of just using it to retain your hydrative levels, but you're getting hydrated from the fruit and from the fruit juice. So I hope this answers your question. And yes, working out during the dry fast. Zachary asks, "What's your opinion on the Philosopher's Stone?" Um, Probably a very interesting take. I don't believe it's a physical thing. I believe the Philosopher's Stone is the awareness that time is an illusion, and it's the true acceptance of such a statement where there's no such thing as yesterday and there's no such thing as tomorrow. There's only here, there's only now, there's only presence. And this is where you can be actionable. And when you do things passionately and you do them joyfully and you're playing with life instead of letting life play you and taking everything so seriously, when you start becoming playful with the now moment, then you live forever. When you become childlike. See, you can be somebody who practices all the fasting and study alchemy and get deep into, setting up your fast so that the days where the moon is in your sun sign at birth is a 2.5 day dry fast where you don't watch, any content, you lock yourself in a fucking cave somewhere. But then the moment you get out of that 2.5 or 3 days, you're bitter and you're worried and you're overly calculated and you're not here or present, then all that quote hard work you did with that fast is fucking irrelevant. You need to be childlike, playful with this now moment. That is the Philosopher's Stone. John Furr, sending you lots of love over to Miami. You said, "If I join your Patreon, are there info there to learn about the technical analysis, trading, etc.?" Yeah. So effectively, when you join the Patreon, you're going to get access to a whole library of past podcasts and every new podcast that I release, as long as you're an active member. And during those, you'll be seeing me actually decode in a presentation, as well as doing technical analysis, not only on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP, but usually on the stock market, on precious metals once in a while, and on other altcoins. So in a month, you would see me probably go over 30 or 40 charts. And just by doing that, you're going to learn so much. So also, you'll be getting access to our Discord server, which has many traders, active investors, people talking about not only trading, but also about just the charts in general. So you'll have other people in the community as well that might be utilizing other systems such as Elliott wave theory. I myself like Wyckoff method quite a bit, and just different outlooks on different projects that maybe I'm not focusing on, but kind of gives you a little bit of a rundown. The big perk of the Patreon membership is these red pill podcasts that I release every week and access to our Discord community. But then you'd be getting a library of over 350 exclusive posts. And then every single week, I usually do a text update. So I release my red pill. And then after a couple days, once we get through the weekly close, I send another text update sharing some charts, explaining it a little bit. And then I also have live investment updates. So whenever I'm buying or whenever I'm selling, the community gets an update on that. And that's definitely going to come in handy more as we progress through the final phase of this bull run, where I will definitely be sharing my exit strategy and my exit targets and live updates whenever I do initiate any sell orders. And speaking of that, actually, one moment. Hope you guys are having an amazing, amazing weekend so far. Wanted to do just a little sneak peek preview of this Red Pill podcast coming out tomorrow. It's going to be powerful. I have a date that's in this podcast that's probably the craziest decode I've ever done. Like, seriously, for those people that saw my decode on Trump leading into this selection, I went with him probably, I don't even know, technically at least a month and a half before we made it to election day. But then I released that Black Moon Decoded a couple days before. I rushed to get that out, even though it was a decode really about December. I had a whole section in the beginning dedicated to that selection between Trump and Harris. I went with Trump. I Now that we've been through that moment, I'm going to be recapping the code that we got from this selection and then sharing even more crazy information about a date that I found in December. So massive, really, really excited to finish up this decode. I still have a couple more things to wrap up before I record it tomorrow, but that will be available on my Patreon at patreon.com/watersabove tomorrow around this time of day. And also by joining Patreon, you get access to that Black Moon Decoded as well. Just getting into some of these comments. Appreciate the super chats. I will be getting around to those. Pushki 11. I'm not sure how to say your name. You said, what do you think of martial arts like Brazilian jiu-jitsu, kickboxing for defense, but also as an art? Absolutely an art form and incredibly healthy for the body. So obviously, if you're fighting against somebody, though, that could take a toll on your body if you're a professional. But in general, practicing those sports could be incredibly good on your body for flexibility, blood flow, moving the lymph, and also the mental state. Because when you are training, you're exercising the mind, you're exercising the brain. I believe that's full of positives, but I wouldn't want somebody to go train just for the sake of beating the shit out of somebody, because that has its own karma. But needless to say, I think as an art form, absolutely, absolutely. I've always been a huge fan of boxing too, even though, it is just two dudes, like two gladiators knocking the shit out of each other. But I've always found the training in boxing to be very inspiring. being able to have that stamina, that cardio, it's really healthy. It's really good for you. Paolo, I wish I knew how to say this name. Is it Teixeira? Paolo Teixeira? Let me know if I'm saying it right. I appreciate you becoming a YouTube member. Lots of love. Also, I had a question for everyone. Did anything happen in Sydney yesterday or a couple days ago? That was supposed to be like a thing. And now I'm not asking that facetiously. I actually want to know. I would never want anything bad to happen to anyone. So I really am curious because I know there was something that was circulating about November 8th regarding Sydney, Australia. I hope everyone's fine. I haven't heard of any particular event. Um, and the same thing goes for my decodes. I didn't decode anything about November 8th, so I wasn't aware from my decoding system until other people started telling me about other people who've decoded it. But I had nothing to share on November 8th. For me, all of my decodes have been mostly about the November 15th date. And then I have some stuff for December that I was getting into in my Black Moon Decoded. And then clearly just selection based decoding stuff because of everyone asking me my thoughts and opinion about that. But needless to say, I really hope everyone out there in Sydney is doing well. Sending you all lots of love. Got a super chat from Anti Gubernare, sending you lots of love. You said, do you have any experience with legal mushrooms? I've recently found these chocolates and gummies that have effects like psilocybin. I have only tried medicinal doses, but had a good experience. Well, I have experiences with actual psilocybin, some really wild experiences, sure. But I'm not sure what your question is necessarily. Like, I suspect that in high amounts, certain mushrooms or their extracts regarding legal mushrooms could have certain effects, like turkey tail or lion's mane or reishi, chaga. But I mean, most people when they talk about mushrooms, they're talking about psilocybin. Just go with the real deal, homie. What I want you to do is 5 grams on an empty stomach, lock yourself in a dark room for 2 days, and then you'll talk to God. You'll face God to God. You'll face God face to face. You'll face God face to face. I'm not sure. Don't listen to me. Don't do that. You're probably gonna have a goddamn nightmare and then see a fucking grim reaper fly across the closet. And then you'll be like, I used to like that guy Waters, and then he told me to. But no, I mean, as for your question, I don't really have any experience with outside of. So yeah, I'm a little confused. But if you're asking about psilocybin, I've had many, and they have been really eye-opening experiences. Although I think the biggest takeaway, like if I could share my personal experience, is what I talk with you guys about all the time, which is vulnerability. That was my biggest takeaway. Like I think I did 7 grams one time in a smoothie, which was so fucking stupid. Don't do that. Because it got into the bloodstream so fast, and it was 7 fucking grams, like too much. And I did it on an empty stomach. And I remember that vividly because it was such an emotional experience for me. I used to own, I even hate to say I owned a dog, but I used to have a dog. Her name was Sasha. She was beautiful, Siberian Husky. And I got her when she was like 5 weeks old, so fucking small. Like she could like fit in my hand. Um, and then I had a bunch of things happen over the years, and I decided traveling was so important to me, so it was tough to have the dog. Luckily enough, I found somebody who was more committed to the normal life, I suppose, and they were more like stay at home, chill, and they wanted to have a dog so badly. So it was a perfect transition. somebody that could give her the attention and that didn't want to go travel all the time. And I love to travel, so that was really tough for me. And I had to make that tough decision, like it'd be like having a kid and never wanting to be the father. Like you can't fucking do that, right? So, anyways, I wisened up and I made that executive decision. And then years and years and years and years gone by, over time heals. Of course, you don't feel so great when you're used to having something or someone in your life and then they're no longer there with you, even if you chose to not have them in your life. And one thing led to the next, and I had this crazy mushroom trip. And I remember, maybe this is because I'm a man, and as a man who's born in Brooklyn, New York, we're like taught to not cry or not express any feelings. And it's like every day you're walking with eyes behind your back, like eyes behind your shoulder. And you always have to be this like fucking tough guy for no reason. It's a sick way to be, but this is just what it is. Like, I can't undo the culture, I can't undo the circumstances. It was just the way it was. So that like showing emotion thing was really tough growing up. And I remember this mushroom trip because after like an hour, like when it started to really peak, I could literally like smell my dog, like her scent, and it fucking shattered me, shattered me. I was like, I couldn't even, all this energy was building up and it was just a huge release. And I walked away from the whole thing being like, dude, it's okay to feel. Like it's okay to feel shit. And that actually cascaded into all these other beautiful moments for me where I could be more vulnerable about stuff and access more of my inner knowing. And now I'm really at this place where I feel that like if we just got the fuck over ourselves and just felt into the moment as the moment was there, we would be able to learn everything without ever opening up a book. And man has been tricked into libraries when you have access to the all, to the infinite. It's always there. But you store all this unnecessary emotion and you don't feel anything. So you become numb, but then you're a hoarder of the data of emotions that you're not even present with of the past. These memories. People call it trauma, right? But it's very deep. Like, I could talk about this for hours and in different ways, but that was an amazing takeaway from that experience. I walked away with so many beautiful downloads. You know what I'm saying? Like, I felt like when I fully embraced that moment for what it was, if I was a computer with like a million USB slots that like flash drives can be plugged into, that was like a moment where like I found 6 new flash drive ports. And like it just like I felt my body fill up with new hard drive, fucking like new RAM or something. Like I got some new memory sticks plugged into me and I was like, holy shit, crazy. And everyone here knows, like, I'm very vulnerable about this too. I don't like to read. I don't learn in the traditional way. So I'm always looking for those moments of like how to access my inner knowing. Not that I'm against books, by the way, guys. Like, don't make this seem to be like Waters hates books. Waters is saying reading books is stupid. Don't do that. I think everyone will find the art that resonates with them most. So if you resonate most with reading and literature, then great. That's awesome. You found your thing. And it's beautiful that there's a different thing for everyone. Some people like golf. Some people like basketball. Some people like music. Some people like sculpting. I mean, just embrace life and resonate with what you resonate with. I'm just saying that I know what I resonate with and I figured out what, my blueprint is. And if I can now take all of those thoughts and just put them on the side for a moment and speak from the heart and let everyone know what I believe is something that's beyond time and space and matter is us accessing feelings and not getting distracted by emotions. And it's tough because we live in a world that not only indoctrinates us to be numb, forces us to think what they want us to think, whether it be your parents or it be the school or it be the politicians or your head coach or the sports team. Everyone wants you to behave accordingly, right? And it's like, wait, life is chaos. Why do I need your form of order? Hmm, interesting question, right? So I suppose things like psilocybin and perhaps other like ayahuasca or maybe LSD, I'm not sure. These things might allow you to access things that you're avoiding. And that vulnerability is everything. It allows you to feel into unresolved trauma. I guess I could just use that term so that I could be on the same page with everyone. Oh my god, this is so good. Free Breaker says, "Waters community, if you had a meme coin, what ticker would it be?" Oh no. What would it be? Oh, I have to have an idea. I don't know right now. Aren't all of the like everything you could possibly think of, they've made a meme coin? That's really funny though. Jesse says, "Will the market crash November 15th?" No. No, I don't feel any market crashes in this year of 2024 for sure. The only thing that I could assume is if there was a black swan event, the black swan event might bring in momentary volatility, but not like a market crash to end and top out what we've already been establishing. I think we'll continue to move up across the board for everything all the way until um, probably for at least half of Q1 of 2025. Now, March, April 2025, that's a different story. If I had to give if I had to put the term market crash, and then I had to put a date in the same sentence, it would be March 14th. It's all an illusion. I appreciate you sending lots of love. You said went through a phase running 7 miles a day, recently fell in love with calisthenics. Needless to say, by body is beat. Been doing yoga lately, but my mobility is limited. Any other recommendations? Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to sit around and act like I know everything about long distance running, but I will say that there's probably some damage done to the joints and maybe not the best practice. There's probably other things you could be doing. I would even maybe consider being more explosive in your movements if you were to do running. So things like hill sprints or even pulling. Yeah, I would even recommend that kind of stuff, like pulling a heavy load or pushing. I know there's like all these different methods of accomplishing that same thing, but these are things that we used to do when we did agriculture outside, like if you were a farmer. I would replace a lot of your long distance running, like that low, slow type running, which is just repetitively putting stress on the joints, and I would replace that with short, explosive movements. Get rid of this 7 miles a day shit and replace it with that. Now, yoga, I mean, for many things could be great, but for mobility, you're probably going to have to get something very specialized. And what could be beneficial for you is looking out to people who are interested in the stuff that we talk about here, like who are open minded to a lot of the subject matter that we cover here, but are chiropractors or they are working doing like physiotherapists or working in rehabilitation facilities for athletes, but try to find somebody who's a little bit more conscious, because then otherwise they're just going to pump you with bullshit, sell you on supplements, and probably damage your kidney and liver, your kidneys and liver in the process of you trying to heal your body. Because everyone wants to throw out supplements to solve the problem, but you can't fix yourself with pills, guys. You can't fix yourself with syringes. You can't fix yourself with this shit. You actually reduce to heal. Healing is reductionist. It's going and practicing fasting. So that would be what I would recommend. Throwing in some fasts, because this will be very, very positive for white blood cells, stem cells, and just allowing excess toxicity and waste material that's stored in the body to get out of the body. So the things you do with your physical fitness are one thing, but then there's the other thing of what you do with diet and consumption, and that matters quite a bit too, because, well, all the healing is actually happening in the kitchen or in the bed. Sleep is massive. High quality sleep is very, very important. So there's many things about this. You know, you could be doing the best yoga routine in general, but you could be eating foods that are very acidic and dehydrating, and then you have shit quality sleep. Well, there you go. Those are your that's what we need to work on. So yeah, it's all an illusion. I hope you see the holistic framework of the way that I'm thinking, and perhaps that could influence you to consider some changes. I appreciate the super chat. Neil, sending you lots of love. You said, are we going into 4-year bull market just like the 4 years leading up to 1929, then with rituals and dips along the way, a 4-year biblical harvest? Thanks. Neil, I feel that in general, the end of the bull run and the start of the bear market will be in 2025. I do feel there's a possibility that maybe, just maybe, the end of 2025, we might have a little bit of bullish energy. Maybe. Just that kind of Q4 double top type thing, you know, give them a second chance to get out. But in general, I feel that this market, this everything bubble is beyond gross. It's like a morbid, diseased animal that needs to be put out of its misery. And we're past due. The expiration date was 3 months ago. But the way that markets work is they're not in reality. The Fed will do whatever the fuck they want to do because they run the world. They're going to continue to inject liquidity into this market and allow us to have a little bit of final fun and euphoria before they pull the plug. And I feel that 2025 is very symbolic in a lot of ways. Now, one thing that I've tapped into quite recently that I will be adding a little bit to in my Year of the Snake Decoded, which will be dedicated to 2025, will be about the Catholic Jubilee, the Vatican's Jubilee. Really interesting stuff, and I haven't taken the time to decode it yet, so I can't really get into all the fine print, but I absolutely will. When I have the time to carve out to do that Year of the Snake Decoded, I will be providing the most unique and highest quality outlook I possibly can regarding that. And that also makes me feel very confident that 2025 is kind of like the beginning of the end. But I am very optimistic, and now I just want to share this with everyone. I'm optimistic that we'll just have a major move to the downside, but we will pivot and rebound and move up into the next Shemitah year. So you heard it here first. I don't think we're like done like in 1929, okay? Because that's what you're asking, and I need to be very clear. Because 1929 was fucked. Like it was a really arduous correction, and the recovery didn't come for a long fucking time. All right. Now I'm synchronizing 1929 with 2029, and I'm not doing that because it's easy to say, oh, it was a century apart It has everything to do with the Shemitah year. So we had the last Shemitah from 2021 into 2022, from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah, and then we moved into our Jubilee on Rosh Hashanah of 2022. So that means the next Shemitah year starts from 2028 Rosh Hashanah and it ends on 2029 Rosh Hashanah. It's the end of the Shemitah year that sucks. So I think we'll get hit with a ritual the year before the Shemitah, just like we did in 2020, where we got that C19 crash. And then I think we'll have like a release moment, finish off 2028 cycle, probably very early on in the Gregorian year, just like we did in 2021. And then we will have a new world. Because between now and 2029, we're going to see as early as next year humanoid robots, like legal on the streets. We're going to see self-driving robo-taxis legal on the streets. And if you guys want me to talk about this more, I will. Because again, every time I do talk about it, I feel like I'm like the Grim Reaper. But I'm incredibly positive about everything I'm saying right now because it's all how you play the game. Okay? We're in musical chairs right now and the music is about to stop. Get your ass in a seat. That's it. So I don't give a fuck about the AI that's moving in and the robots and this, that, and the third, because I'm doing everything I can to situate myself so that I will be in a seat when that music stops. You understand? So getting savvy to things like how to invest, and not only how to invest, but how to put that money to work and have a cash flow stream, that's what's going to separate excellence from mediocrity in 2025 into 2026. And I'm not saying this to scare anyone, but that is exactly why I am so motivated to launch Waters Above University, because that's what it's going to be exactly about. And the timing of it should be perfect. So that's what 2025 is for me. I am dedicating that year to the launch of Waters Above University and creating something that is just taking everything that I've learned throughout all of this time that I've gotten to this very moment and packaging it into something that will be user friendly, that'll be easy to implement, and that'll expedite the process for people so they no longer need to go through all of these trip and fall moments, getting back up, putting bandages on the bruised knee, and then you're not going to want to do that in 2025, man. It's going to be way harder to trip and fall when there's self-driving cars that replace the Uber rides. And again, this is not fear porn. This is just reality. We saw what C19 did. A lot of those jobs never came back. The Fed has decided to pump this market into heaven. What happens when you try to climb the Tower of Babel? You find out that trying to get to heaven is actually the quickest route to hell. So we're going to see people at the worst time jump into the top of the market, and it's not going to be pretty. It's going to be like 2021 all over again, but the difference between now and 2021 was this was the second chance. This was the second chance. There's going to be no easy money in 2025 and 2026. Promise you that. There will be for certain people, but not for everyone. And the one thing that I'm a little bit concerned about with 2025 is if they do move forward with these self-driving cars, the self-driving robo-taxis is really what I should say. Because when you guys hear me say self-driving cars, you're like, Waters, there's already such, yeah, okay. There's context here. What I mean is, when you go to an airport right now, and I'll finish up with this thought and then we'll keep moving on. But when you go to an airport now, when you get out of the airport, you expect either a taxi to be there or you expect an area where there's for rideshare, where maybe it's Lyft, Uber, whatever, right? That's an expectation you have. My vision is that what we're going to see is the airports will have their own fleet of self-driving robotaxis. So there will be no such thing as a taxi driver or an Uber driver allowed to go to an airport anymore. It will not be allowed. I know that sounds super draconian and kind of fucked up, but you got to think about it from a business perspective. These technocrats don't give a shit about your feelings. They don't care about you. And by the way, I'm not saying that it's the end of Uber. I'm not saying that it's the end of these services. They will be around for a moment, but it's in the plan. The plan is being built out in the background as I do this live stream. So maybe when we go into 2026, you'll start to see things like Uber completely phasing out as a job opportunity. Gig work will be phased out. And with these people out there that are doing all these other forms of gig work, you will probably be replaced in regards to the, well, artificial intelligence. It will just get better. So the people that were once a therapist in an actual practice, in an actual office where you would have somebody show up and you would, have your therapy session with them, what it will be is you will do it from an iPad. And that already exists, right? That service already exists, but it exists with a person on the other side. They're going to replace that with artificial intelligence. So that job is even going away. This like meritocracy or whatever you want to think it is, we're going to have to make up our own way moving into 2025 and 2026 because the technocrats don't give a fuck. They really don't. To them, it's just the bottom line. It's how do I make a little bit of extra money by reducing my labor? And they're going to get crazy kickbacks from the government, just like people get kickbacks for having cars that are self-driving, electric cars, I should say. So EV and hybrid cars, you also get tax kickbacks for solar panels. Bro, you're going to get the same fucking shit for buying a humanoid robot. Guarantee you are going to get kickbacks. So you know that millionaires and billionaires are just going to load up on those things. Why have a person sit outside of your house as security where you can just invest in 3 or 4 robots that can do that job 24/7? They're not taking smoke breaks. They're not doing any of that bullshit. You just get whatever paperwork signed so that they could be holding munitions. And then you also get a kickback because you invested in the New World Order. It's a win-win-win-win-win. That's what we're heading into, guys. So I know it's a little early to be sharing this, and a lot of people are like, just like, what did he just say? But it's just the way it's going to be. And I think it's important that we snap into it. Because there's this emotional avoidance for many of us where we're like avoiding it emotionally. Bro, there are people right now that are, I can't say the word. I have to type the word. I'll spell the word out. SUICIDE. They are doing that because they are talking to AI chatbots. And at the same time, people are like walking off the edge of the cliff because they're talking to AI chatbots. So this thing already, like humans have already developed a relationship with artificial intelligence. And it's only going to get more and more trustworthy. And the more trustworthy it gets, and the cheaper it gets for some people, we're going to have to see what this turns into. But I am not optimistic about what the majority will do with this new tech. I'm just not. I'm optimistic about what we can do as conscious individuals to prepare ourselves and be situated in the right place so that whatever changes come, we're not concerned. That was always the way. It's not about this waiting game, guys. It's not prepping. This isn't prepping where you're like buying fucking paint canisters of dehydrated dog shit food. We're not doing that. We're gardening. We're out there with our hands in the soil, putting in the fucking work. That's what 2025 needs to be about. Instead of the waiting game, It has to be about action because the technocrats are not waiting. I'm just looking through the chat right now. Small Dipper said 2 Gs is enough. Yeah, definitely. Watermelon 1, dry. Like a fucking man. Elevated awareness. I appreciate your super chat. Sending you lots of love. I'm just seeing the super chat, but I don't have any question or any follow up. So hopefully I see it in a moment. Maybe you just had it separated. But elevated awareness, sending you lots of love. And if I see anything come up, I will definitely make sure to address it. CL says, will you ever do a Your Friend Sami interview in the near future? I don't know who that is. Sorry, I'm not sure. No disrespect. I'm just there's a lot of, I guess, creators out there in the space, and I'm just not really sure who that is. Got a super chat from Rob G. Sending you lots of love. You said, during your Black Friday sale, would you be generous to offer a 1 day only, a buy two, get one course free deal for your wolves? Hmm. You know, the issue with this is if you saw the amount of effort that I put into creating my art, this would kind of be like buy two paintings, get one free. Like, I'm not using AI to generate images. I'm doing everything myself 100%. Wow. Yeah, I mean, if anyone just saw the process of what it takes to create one of my courses, you'd be like, "Damn." You know? Already the amount that is discounted, and in comparison to quote unquote competitors out there, I have some of the most affordable material that I've ever seen for the quality and the value that it has. So, what I can say, Rob, is I will have a package deal where I have two different package deals. One is for my crypto mastermind, decoding mastermind, as well as my expansion mastermind. And that is a 30% off. So if you were to do the maths, that's almost like a buy two, get one free. Almost. So let me know if you're interested in that, or if you'd like, you can go to watersabove.com/store and you'll be able to find the link, and you'll see just on the first page it says holistic, and then it says mastermind package. So appreciate that question, and I'm really grateful for your super chat. All right, elevated awareness. I see you had your follow up. You said, that is exactly my purpose here, to teach men exactly that and awaken into all the higher self. Literally great work. My friend, doing the work is hard, but so worth it. Love it. Okay. And then I see for sure you did this follow up comment. So I appreciate you, Elevated. Sending lots of love. And that's really exciting to hear that you're working with other people too and serving your purpose. It's a beautiful thing. 2 new lives. I appreciate you for rocking the merch. I'm really grateful for that. Sending you lots of love. And I've been having a lot of people reaching out asking me if there's any new merch coming. I do have some ideas, but it's just been a lot for me lately. I design all my own stuff too, so go check out watersabove.shop. That has some merch. I do have some ideas coming, but most likely for the month of December. Hello World says, Waters, what info for youth health practices for picky eaters? Ooh, okay. Colloidal minerals, so like liquid zinc with copper, as well as liquid magnesium. This is like undetectable when it's in water or in fruit juice. And the next thing would be juicing, because with juice, you can hide, like, quote, hide things that are really incredibly beneficial for you, like beetroot, you know? So you can get beetroot in, but mask the flavor with just pure apple juice. So a very simple juice that is packed with life force would be apple and then a little bit of turmeric root and fresh ginger root. So fresh turmeric root, not just turmeric powder, but fresh turmeric root, fresh ginger root, a little bit of cucumber, celery. These are the base. So you would have apple, cucumber, celery, very affordable for you to get the highest quality organic form. And then just a little bit of beetroot. And if you want, you can clean the beetroot stems and the leaves and throw those in there too. And just like that is an amazing juice. Very, very good for you. And you could hide a lot of life force in that for kids. I don't think they would have a problem with that at all. Just be careful, of course, with the ginger. You don't want to go fucking crazy with the ginger with like a 4-year-old or something. They would be spicy times. So just a little goes a long way with fresh ginger root and fresh turmeric root. And I mean, every kid loves apple juice, so you can make that the majority. Cut it with some cucumber. It's pretty much like 98% water. Also, watermelon's amazing too. Really, really amazing if you could find seeded watermelon. Kids love that. Grapes, black grapes, organic if you could find them, of course. Kids love those. But yeah, like I mean, most kids love fruit. So it's simple, it's easy. Another thing would be like coconut yogurt with frozen berries if it's like not the season. A lot of times you can find like perfectly ripened and then flash frozen wild blueberries. Those are really amazing. Coconut yogurt is very mild, not so harsh for kids. Um, just right there, that'd be nice. Yeah, I think that helps. That gets you some good ideas. But no need to go crazy with salads and any of that shit. None of that's needed. You could just do some fresh juice. As I mentioned, get as much fruit in as possible, and then one other thing could just be stop feeding the kids the shit that they give them at schools. Like, okay, I'm just gonna like quickly move through this because it needs to be said for the sake of our children. Stop allowing them to eat that fucking garbage that the schools give them. Like, if you're homeschooling your kid, amazing, like that's great. But it's very easy for kids to get all this bullshit when they're hanging out with their friends or at school, right? And they're gonna do what they want to do. They're gonna go out and have a cheeseburger at McDonald's or whatever. It's gonna happen, right? They're gonna eat French fries. So training the taste buds to be mostly alkaline foods will make them taste acidic foods that are like deep fried and seed oils and all that shit. It's like they won't even like the taste of it. It even happens with me. Like when I do an extended period of time of eating very clean, doing some juicing, maybe I do a dry fast or something, and then I eat like heavy cooked food, I don't even like want it. My body is like, no, you know? And I'm not going to sit around and act like I know the perfect diet and say that I have the perfect solution for everyone, and I don't think there's such thing, and I'm not pro one way and avoid all the other ways. I think that humans are the most experimental creature when it comes to food, and we have food choice. And we're actually more mental about our food than we are in a relationship with our food. Most of us are just experimenting with food, and we look at it like it's calories, fiber, protein, but in reality, none of that shit matters. The body doesn't know what protein is in isolation. It has no idea. The body doesn't care about isolation. The body as a organism appreciates its relationship it has with the whole, with everything. So the more you isolate things down and the more you extract the life force from the original item, the more dead the food is. So eating whole food as Mother Nature has designed it is the way that it's compatible with the human body. That's the relationship we have with it. So I only say this because as you look at what the schools feed the kids and you look at what is in these fast food restaurants, etc., it's all heavily processed foods. It's rarely the food in its original form. So, food for thought. CL asks, why is Richard Hart such a special figure in this crazy world? Um, I don't know who Richard Hart is. I don't want to sound disrespectful, but every video that I've seen of him, it's always with like a Gucci teddy bear or like he's walking out of a Italian designer like high-end fashion store like Louis Vuitton with like a bunch of shopping bags. And that seems to be very much his branding. Like his branding is showing how material he is. But then whenever you listen to him speak, he's usually the smartest. He's usually the most intelligent person in the room. So he's one of those types that's kind of an enigma because he's so fucking smart and he like knows about what he speaks about. So it's hard for me to disrespect to be like to not respect a guy who's like that. But as for my lane of what I find to be important about life, it's not walking out of Louis Vuitton store with 10 bags and one of them's in my mouth and having one of my friends or something film me walking out of the store with all those bags to then post on social media later. Like I wouldn't do that, but I guess we're all here to serve different purposes, right? So he's interesting because he feeds the part of the stomach that wants fast food, like that acidic part of you that wants to see the designer clothing and the luxury because everyone has a taste for that. That's just the way humans are. We want things that we don't have. So that's a marketing tactic that people who are very intelligent might use. I can't say that's an honorable move, but it's his move, clearly. Um, but then when you hear him talk, he's very, very smooth. He knows what he's saying. Um, and he shared some shit that like people need to like again, I've only heard very little bits and pieces of what he's about. Um Now I don't know. I have never spoken with him. I have no idea who really he is. Is there like a real soul behind that person or is it just material obsession? I don't know. I have no idea. But I hope nobody took this as me talking shit because truly everyone can get value from anyone, regardless of how they portray themselves. So I teach that it's all about take what you resonate with and leave the rest. So if you're someone out there who resonates with what he says, and you could leave the rest when it comes to the fancy material stuff, then great. You should do that. But I struggle with those types of people, accepting them as honorable people because, well, there's more to life than Shopping? Also, shopping is like a very feminine thing. So I'm not really sure how that makes you look more masculine. Maybe that's not the point either, but he kind of also does hold himself as this very like masculine leader. Although I'm not sure how you're leading the people when you use shopping as one of your marketing angles. But again, maybe I just don't know because I'm Patrick Starr and I live under a rock. Gone Swole says, Waters, I'm a garbage man in Chicago. Will robots take my job before 2030? I mean, how long have you been in this job for? I mean, do you work for the actually, I have a question, Gonswol, and I'm really glad that you wrote this because I want to know. And I think there's an opportunity here. Okay, brother. So you're asking this, but I do believe just in the lifetime that I've lived, I've watched the automation of the trash truck, of the compactor inside of it, the machine that has the arms that come out and it could like lift the trash bin and throw it over the side. So when I was growing up, there was like two dudes in a fucking truck and the other guy came out and then he threw it in the back. And like now I'm seeing one dude on the truck. Now again, this is not everywhere. And I think in Europe it's probably even more advanced because I've seen in certain countries in Europe, I mean, it's fucking crazy. Like in Amsterdam, they have a compartment you just open up and throw it and it goes into the fucking void below you like gets sucked into a black hole somewhere. But yeah, in the States I used to see two dudes in a car in a truck when I was growing up. Now it's a one guy and the arms come out and it lifts the fucking thing and throws the trash away for him, and then he's just a driver now. There's no other guy that's coming around to then toss it, right? So right there I think we've kind of removed a role, and I think that tech will only get more and more advanced. But as for the complete removal of the job, I don't know. I can't say by 2030, but I do think it's an agenda. I just don't know how much of a threat that particular role is. Um, and you're an incredibly useful member of society. Like I was just thinking about this a couple weeks ago, and I'm not speaking just directly to you to try to make you feel better, but I mean in general, people who work for the city and who are taking the trash away from people's houses in any capacity or away from businesses, that keeps society held together. Because if you go anywhere where they're not too savvy with that, and I'll give an example. Speaking of Netherlands, I spent a bunch of time in Amsterdam, and although they have this crazy futuristic like trash thing that you open and it goes into the void, that city just has bicycles and trash everywhere. Like I have to say, out of all the places I've been, that was the least clean city. And now it always props itself as like so clean and so futuristic and really like high quality. But I just remember a ton of fucking trash everywhere. I've never seen so much trash and so many rusty bicycles just laying around. I've been to a bunch of places that have been known for being trashy, like Naples, Italy, for instance, and I don't even notice it that much there. But again, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, where we just pile our trash on the street and then somebody comes around, takes it, and it is what it is. You go to Germany and there's like 13 fucking trash cans. You're like, I don't even know which one it is. It's like color coded, the rainbow. You're like, it's yellow, purple. I don't fucking know. There's like 6 different garbages for just plastic. It's a puzzle. You need to be like able to solve a goddamn Rubik's Cube to know how to use a German trash system. So you're asking about your situation in Chicago. I'm not sure, brother, but what I can say, and I'm not sure of the legal side of this because I don't know everything, but there's probably a business opportunity here for you. Because if people start getting threatened by this, there's always private opportunities. Buy your own truck, hire your own team, and do shit on your own. Now, I'm not sure if that's legal, though. I got to be very transparent. I haven't looked into this because I know, like, when Uber came out, they had a lot of legal issues with the counties, with the city, the state, federal level, etc. Because there's so much bureaucracy. There's so many agencies that you have to get through. But I mean, I think in the future there's going to be this like branch off where certain people living in certain communities are just not going to want to fuck with AI and robotics. And that's going to be a renaissance in a way for people that have private companies. So working in and by the way, this is just one lane. I know that there's companies out there that have these big waste disposal bins, like these huge metal bins, and you could hire them to show up to different sites, you know, festivals, concerts, whatever, and they pay a huge fee to just show up with this big dumpster and then be the trash removal at the end of the event. So there's another opportunity there. I mean, I could come up with so many ideas, but I would say open up your mind to that shit. Like if you're worried, always think solution oriented. Never think about the problem. And whatever Waters tells you about whatever year, you know, robots are going to take over, that doesn't fucking matter because in the meantime, you could be putting in the work, right? Like we know when you plant an apple tree, it could take 2 to 3 years for this thing to bear fruit, but you still got to fucking plant the seed today. Okay? Overres says, who will Waters Above University be for? Those who have already a substantial amount of money or capital to invest? No. It will not have any capital requirements. It's going to be incredibly affordable 3-month program. It's going to be actually like a 7 to 9 week accelerator. I'm kind of working on the exact offer. I'm not ready to divulge that just yet, because I want to offer something that is not this really big commitment. It's just enough to be accessible for those that resonate with what we have going on here. So it will not be for people who have it won't be for any specific capital requirement. Got a super chat from Breathe in Air. Perfect timing for this swan in the Dolomites. You said, where is spirituality going to be in the future? Oof. I need to take a sip of this juice real quick. It'll probably be in the hands of a computer, just like it is for the most part right now. It'll just be more sophisticated. You said, where is spirituality going to be in the future? Here's my thing, Breathe in Air. We need to be aware that right now, imagine, close your eyes. I want everyone to close your eyes. Imagine you are at the edge of a cliff, and the only thing that's keeping you from falling is your fingertips grasping at the edge. You feel nervous, you feel anxious, you're worried because below you is your death. And you're grabbing, you're just hoping, you're losing your grip, you're sliding, and then you get worried and you don't even realize that the whole world is doing that right now. Most of humanity does not even know that in a spiritual perspective, they're grasping at the edge of a cliff that they're inevitably going to fall from. And that's what every transition into any new world would be like. Have you ever gone through a psychedelic experience? That's very much what it feels like. You start to lose time. Have any of you in here lost time? I would love to hear your thoughts. I've lost time. I remember one experience that I had where it went timeless and I needed to eventually let go. And when I let go, it unlocked so many new opportunities for me, so many avenues for a new perspective. I think right now we are the most stubborn we've ever been as a species to let go. And that stubbornness is not over yet. It's going to keep going and keep going and keep going until you can't fucking hold on any longer. You will see the fingernails ripping off the tips of your fingers. That's how stubborn humans are. And there's so many so-called spiritual people who are in the so-called truther communities. They're the ones that took the red pill, you know? But they're absolutely addicted to this material realm. They love it. They love it even though they blame it. This is an interesting time because people are materially rich but spiritually bankrupt. And I think whilst we're losing our grip at the edge of this cliff that we're inevitably going to fall from, which will lead you to a much more glorious new chapter of life, I promise you that. That stubbornness will be so noticeable in the masses. It will become so obvious. All I want you guys to do while you're watching this unfold is be entertained by it. Do not be worried about it. Do not be concerned about it. Just be entertained by it, just like you're entertained by a politician. Any wrestling fans in here? Remember when you first saw wrestling as a kid, you thought it was real, you were having fun, and then eventually you found out it was all scripted and it's fake? It's kind of heartbreaking. But then now you're older, you're wiser, and you're just entertained by it. Remember, you used to believe in Santa Claus? You thought he was real? And then one day you found out it was really your dad that was eating the cookie and drinking the milk and putting all the presents out. And then you had to like go through that moment internally of like, what the fuck? You were lied to. Well, your whole life you've been systematically lied to by everyone and everything under the guise of your own safety. Just like you were lied to about C19. You were told wear a mask, stay away, take the jab, shut up, wear the mask, take the jab, 6 feet away, shut up. You were told that every day for 2 years for your safety. Just like we tell children about Christmas for their safety. We tell them about all of these lies to have them comfortably accept the fact that they're in a scripted reality. You're in the Truman Show. And when Truman finally got to the end of the movie and was like, what the fuck? It's devastating. But he let go. And so can all of us. And I think life is beautiful once we let go. It makes I'm excited. The idea of depression can't exist in that reality. It just can't. So there's a lot of quasi spiritual guru-esque weird shit going on right now. And I am pro material world. I think that this material existence is what we're here to learn about. I think sometimes we get a little too spiritual. We get a little too, too strange. And we don't even realize that we're taking things that are material and we're using our egos as an instrument to chisel it down to make us feel better about ourselves as quote unquote spiritual people. I saw this happen with pretty much everything in this world. There's always this way of convincing ourselves. And that's what the ego is here to do. That's what the ego is here to do. Remember, we talked about this in the last live stream. I said, have you ever realized when we talk about astrology, we think that this is something that's making us more aware and more spiritual and more conscious, but we fail to realize the ego that's in it. Because what makes up a constellation the brightest stars. What about the not so bright stars? Do they not count? Well, because you can't see them. So is that your eyes that we blame? Is that the optical illusion? Or is it that we do value brighter stars? Hmm. So we're revealing the ego, aren't we? So the constellation is the makeup of the brightest stars based on some man at some time believing such and convincing other men to also agree. Therefore, it got named, titled, and now we believe it to be whatever it was named and titled. Congratulations. No better way of describing the hubris of man. I'm just, I know it's like it's a very cold bucket of water that I like to pour on people's heads, but it's needed. So, just as in life, the brightest star gets rewarded. I'm not against that, but I'm not going to convince myself that I'm this altruistic, better person because I know about astrology. It's just a tool, doesn't make you better, but it also kind of reveals your ego. And you need to admit that too. It also reveals our obedience to systems that are made by others. And we need that, right? Because otherwise there'd be no communication at all. You wouldn't know a word that I'm saying right now because you wouldn't speak the language that I speak. So I'm not anti these systems. I am just aware that they exist for their purposes, and we all need to see them for what they are. So I think with the concept of spirituality and where we're headed, there's going to be some people that finally face the truth that all we've been doing this whole time with this whole spiritual thing is exercising the muscle of ego. And once we admit such and heal our egos, we then can now face the mission that we were sent here to face, which is to become one with the simulacrum. As I say often, you do not need to escape the matrix because you are the matrix. Oh, breathe in air. I really appreciate this. That really means a lot to me. I really appreciate you. Brandon2181. That's the way to do it. Get some steps in. Got a super chat from David. Appreciate you, brother. You said high five. My wife loves your vibe and your tribe. We're wondering if you also have thoughts or feelings on when real estate prices will dump. How long until we can invest in a home? You know, David, this is tough because right now a lot of people are feeling this squeeze and this like everyone wants the prediction of when is this market finally going to correct to be in a place where we can make that big decision. And I want to share this, David, and I know this isn't the direct answer, but that's probably what you actually like most about coming here to these live streams is you're going to walk away with utility, not just my version of what the answer is. So just to quickly let you all know where I'm at with this question and where I'm at in general with my overall wealth plan and my outlook for the future of our economy is that the New World Order did something very fancy with the C-19 thing. Because whilst they were getting everyone scared of an invisible fucking enemy, you know, nonsense, you all know this, what they did in the background was they completely transformed what once had merit. And they made the things that we once valued the most seemingly unattainable, right? So higher education, such as universities and colleges, they came out in the very early days of C-19 and admitted that that does not matter anymore moving forward. The competition that we'll see in the workforce will not be with somebody who has a more powerful degree. What it will be is somebody who's able to manage more artificial intelligence or programs. Can somebody be a coder? Can somebody run 10 robots instead of manage 10 people? Now, whatever skill it would take in that particular career path to do that, that's the person they will pick. They will pick the person who knows how to do that over somebody who has a degree. Degrees aren't going to matter anymore. And they actually haven't for quite some time. And the same thing will be the case in the medical field. They will just have more robotics there, and they will have, it's like the Revenge of the Nerds family. You're just going to see everything kind of transform into humans having to be excellent at utilizing technology, not at working directly with people. There will be no more people skills. It'll be how to work with robot skills. So the house prices are the other thing. So we had higher education is now completely a sham. It's clear. We have housing, the mortgage, and all of that stuff. It's showing itself to also not be the most wise investment either. But again, I completely understand that you need a home, you need a roof over your head, and you need something to feel confident that it's quote unquote yours. And, that was the commitment that you make. I get it. Now, I'm not trying to deter you from this decision, but I feel that in general, we're heading into a world where the divide will be, I know I can't really afford this, so what's my sacrifice? And if that's the question you're asking, then it seems like you have a bigger issue than the housing market. Your issue is a cash flow issue, and it's an issue of um, financial insecurity. Now, David, that's not a problem, okay? That's an opportunity, all right? With waiting for the prices to come down, this is waiting for the day that never comes. It's like waiting for the day the food shortage happens, all right? The economy was designed to have the Fiat death spiral into lower and lower and lower and lower until it's like wheelbarrow money. And then simultaneously, everything else that's based in dollars will just appreciate and appreciate and appreciate because of that inverse relation. I can get into the nitty-gritty of, like, this one area might be better than this area, and this area is cheaper, and don't go here and go there, but you end up in this, like, infinite choices situation, and you're never gonna commit to anything. So I would just say for you, instead of trying to figure out exactly when the market is going to do something, ask yourself, what could I do between now and that eventually occurring? What is my real problem here? Does this make sense, David? It's kind of like I'll make another example. When people who've never lifted weights in their life and they've like never really been conscious of what they're eating, they see somebody with an amazing physique and they go, "Oh my god, I want that physique. I want to have the six pack and like this, look like a Greek god." And then they immediately start dieting. And it's like, wait, but you need to build muscle in order for that frame to look anything close to what the, so like this skinny fat thing happens. And I know like dieting is hard work, but building muscle is a very, very tough thing to accomplish. So what I'm asking here, is it a body fat problem or is it a muscle problem when you're brand new? Okay? When you're new to the game. It's probably a muscle problem. If you just gain more muscle, you will immediately start looking better, no matter what your diet is, no matter how calculated you are with all that stuff. Now, obviously, you wouldn't just be binge eating fucking french fries and milkshakes. The same thing if I tell you, like, if you have a cash flow problem, I wouldn't tell you to go YOLO now on just all this nonsense, liabilities. Load up your Amazon basket with a bunch of like, stupid stuff just because you can't afford a home or whatever. You don't want that YOLO effect. You want to just ask yourself, like, what's my real problem here? And then act accordingly. So I'll give you the more sexy answer, okay? I feel in general 2025, this everything bubble is going to start to show that it has been standing on glass toothpicks for too long, and these toothpicks are going to snap. But if I told you that the housing market won't bottom until 2028 or 2027, then what the fuck are you going to do, David? Are you going to wait for 2 years? You see? While we can be building muscle in the meantime. That's my analogy. There's shit you could be doing today so that you don't need to worry about the idea of the investment in the home. And now, okay, let's just say, David, you do have your money straight and you are doing very well with cash flow. Well, then maybe investing in a home is not the good investment for you. Have you thought of that? That might be the question. Instead of where you're asking yourself, what's my real problem here? It would be, where's the better investment? I mean, I would rather invest in Bitcoin than a home. By the time the housing market bottoms, Bitcoin will probably be more than a home. And I'm not just saying that because I'm pro Bitcoin or anything like that. It's just the way it's all sort of designed regarding the dollar and what the Fed policy is and what the Fed will continue to do. So why deal with all this paperwork and all this fucking nonsense on this hand when I could just have private keys on a hardware wallet? It's a question I would ask somebody who has a higher net worth. But I mean, it all depends, right? If you have no competence in real estate and you have no competence in being a landlord, you have no competence in any of that stuff. So making that a cash flow decision would be tough, wouldn't it? It would require this learning curve you have to overcome. So I think you need to check in with yourself and ask, step one, what's my real problem here? Step two, given the time horizon of when a market like such as the housing market, which again, we're talking about people who on average have 30-year fucking mortgages, go back to 2008 and see how long it took for that market to bottom. It would be an excruciatingly long amount of time, brother. And then what do you do between now and then? You see? So that's kind of like why I don't think 1 + 1 = 2 here with regards to your question and how I'm looking at reality. Although I think I gave some utility in a lot of ways to other things to take into consideration. And I hope this doesn't discourage. But if you're somebody now where you need a home and you can't wait for that crash or you can't wait for the bottom or you can't wait, then just fucking make the move because you're going to be alive for however many years anyways, right? What's all the people that bought the top of 2007 or 2008 and they were suffering and they made a really like they panic sold or whatever. Well, look at how much higher the prices were during C19 regarding real estate. If you just held, you would be up much higher. But the reason why it was catastrophic for certain people was because those were people that shouldn't have been given loans in the first place. So there's context here. But if you're somebody who has cash flow, you do have security in that way, you are an entrepreneur, you got all that shit figured out, then what are you waiting for? It's like the people who are waiting for the correction in the market, in the correction in crypto. It's like every month somebody reaches out to me and they're like, Waters, when are we going to correct? It's like, bro, we've been sideways and correcting for 8 fucking months. How much more of a correction do you want? It's a bad question. There's a part of my expansion mastermind course called AEQ, asking effective questions. By the way, David asked an amazing question here, but I'm just filling in some context in other areas to get you to all see how I've calculated things the way that I calculate them. There's this, well, if I was to tell you 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, what do I do between now and year 3? If that's the case. And if you don't have an answer to that, then it's really stupid to be making decisions in that framework. I hope this makes sense. John Adamson, sending lots of love. I appreciate the super chat. You said, first of all, thank you for always speaking up for the innocent and vulnerable animals most humans see as food. I'm curious if you have any thoughts on diatomaceous earth and or activated charcoal. I find charcoal to have its use cases. I see it to be incredibly beneficial when it comes to teeth health, so like oral health, gum health, and even when it comes to applying to the epidermis. So skin applications could be very, very powerful too for detoxifying and keeping the skin acidic, which is important. But outside of that, I have no experience with diatomaceous earth, so I can't speak on that. But activated charcoal for brushing the teeth or for doing oil pulling, that could be beneficial too. So, even a little bit of activated charcoal with some sesame oil, cold pressed sesame oil, wonderful. Really, really good. Um, Also, some water filtration utility. I mean, there's these activated charcoal bricks or sticks that they sell. Those are really good if you're somebody who's like camping, you're outdoors, but I still recommend to go with distilled waters if you have access to them. If you could afford a water distiller, you live in an apartment or home where you could have a water distiller, it's always better than buying bottled. But if you have access to bottled because you own a car or whatever, you could get it delivered to your house. That's still much, much better than using tap water. Um, but yeah, the activated charcoal sticks I used for a while whenever I would go hiking or camping in any water that I had available. Really, really solid. But other than that, yeah, I don't really have too many things to say about activated charcoal besides some skin applications and oral use. And also, you brought this up, speaking up for the innocent and vulnerable animals most of us see as food. This is probably the number one thing I get pushback for, which I find to be very fascinating. And I'm not going to spend any time speaking about this right now because it's an incredibly polarizing topic. But every week, it seems that the conversation of food, diet, consumption comes up. And everyone wants to know my take on what's the perfect way to eat or like how do I eat or whatever. And then I start to share my truth on it. And then I can immediately see the triggered effect that it has. Right. And I'm used to that. It's been a long time that I've been dealing with that. But I think that's another that comes back to an earlier super chat where I was saying breathe in air asked. Also, shout out to them for the super chat earlier and allowing me for that stream of consciousness. But they asked about my look on spirituality into the future. And I've noticed there's a connection between the growth of the quote unquote vegan community on the internet from probably like maybe 10 years ago reaching its like you imagine with your eyes closed for a second when you're pulling back a slingshot, like you've pulled back the slingshot so much and you've divided so many people and then now it's ready to let go, right? And I think the recoil, like the letting go of the slingshot of the vegan online social media stuff was the carnivore diet. And it's so funny that the carnivore diet people are like they've chosen the vegans as their enemy when it's like you exist because of the vegans. You exist because you're triggered and everyone's triggered now. And I think that's a sad world we've gotten into because the humans always get more divided over time, right, John? That seems to be our way. We love dividing ourselves. And we're now here at like peak division where we're divided over our fucking dietary choice. Like I remember initially when vegetarians or vegan people would commit to veganism, the vegans were definitely outspoken and they were annoying to many, right? But everyone who's passionate about something is seemingly annoying when you do not practice what they practice. That's just normal. It's the way that I feel about the XRP community. They sound to me like a 2003 vegan. It's just like, can you shut the fuck up already? Right? Now, I know there's going to be XRP people in here that are like, what did he just say? Like, they're going to sound like Scooby Doo. And my point to you all is that we get it. We get that they have 3,000 partnerships with every bank in existence, yet their project is still 50 cents or whatever. Like, learn the charts, learn TA, don't hate it, don't date it, just trade it. Shush. It's too much talk and very little wisdom. So I'm glad you asked this question. I'm glad that I get to express this because I think that the XRP community is just the pullback of the slingshot and the recoil of the Bitcoin maxis. And then the XRP people hate the Bitcoin people, even though they need that project to see XRP's price action go up. It's a sad thing to watch two cults face off each other. So please, everyone, know that when I'm speaking on food, when I'm speaking on my outlook on our relationship that we have with Mother Nature, which includes her animals, I'm looking at it from a different vantage point. It's that I am tired of human superiority, and I've found greater teachers. And most of the profound things that I say that typically resonate with you guys are not things that I've learned or heard from a human. They're things that I've learned and have remembered, is what I should say. They're things that I have remembered from not listening to people and from observing nature. And it's this duality, this pullback of the slingshot and the extreme on one side, and then the letting go and the recoil and the extreme on the other side. This is the battle of good versus evil, dark and light, Lucifer and Jesus. It's the trap of traps. And I really hope that there's an illumination here in the process, that we realize that this was never about the betterment or the good or the expansion of consciousness. It typically is all about your desires, because that's really what it is, isn't it? No matter what you know is good, you're still going to choose desire. You're always going to go with what you want. And you're always going to situate yourself with people who agree with you. It feels more comfortable, right? So now, when there's a community out there called the carnivore cult, you now feel like you found a family. And they've built their whole identity around the extermination of animals. Congratulations. What a team to be on. I don't feel it's any better on the other side either. But it's just strange to me how people have been calling this the solution. Because all I see it as, it's just another side of the same coin. And all we've done is divided ourselves more and more and more. Be careful what you protect and defend, because I think the day that you finally lose grip on the edge of that cliff that I was talking about, you're going to have to face something you've been avoiding for a little too long. And that'll probably be one of those things you have to face. Appreciate your support, John. Petra Peace, I appreciate you. Sending lots of love. God's Gift. I don't want to talk about Richard Hart anymore. I didn't mean any disrespect to him. I don't really like talking about people when they're not in the room. I was asked a question, and I just shared some feedback and also some compliments as well. But God's Gift said Richard Hart was only doing that because he was trying to get followers so that he has more of an impact on the world. Yeah, God's Gift. I mean, I don't know how you feel, but I'll share my truth on this really quick and then we'll move on. The way you bait in the fish will change the frequency of the fish you consumed. So just be careful of the energy that you have when you're the fisherman, because everything is energy, frequency, and vibration. So if you market yourself as a materialist, you will only receive the currency that comes in that form. See, the decision that I made as a leader is that I have to be raw and truthful and honorable each step of the way, because there's something that's watching over me that's way more powerful and mighty than any of the things that I could persuade you with or cast the illusion of. And the issue is when you cast an illusion to just get access to the attention and the prana, then you have to bear the burden of the currency that comes back to you. Meaning, if you sell, and I'm not saying Richard Hart does this, but like let's just say you're a entertainer, right? You're in the in the movie industry, you're a musician, whatever, and then they come to you and they say, "Okay, you have to sign this contract," and you know that it's signing your soul away. You know that, yeah, I get $1 million, but I'm probably gonna have to have sex with another guy and do this crazy shit. Okay, whatever. I drink some baby blood, whatever, and then you still go ahead and sign that because you just want money. Well, there's your soul. You're fucked forever. Because, yeah, you got the money. Yeah, you got the reward. But look at the way you risked for it. That's your sacrifice. So I'm not trying to put Richard Hart in the same basket as somebody like Diddy, but all I'm saying is that like it's the same concept. And if you're going to be an influencer and influence people with the way you dress and the yacht and the cigars and the all the nice fancy shit you have, then you're selling your soul. This is not the way. It's quick results, one step forward, a million steps backwards. I don't want to sound like an asshole right now, but I think that behavior that Richard shared with the world and his intent to get the attention and the following is the reason why he's going to have to bear the burden of everything that's coming his way and that has been coming his way. You don't see it? Guys, there's not just one bank account that's ruling over this world. There's a hidden bank account that none of you can see the numbers of, but you can feel the numbers. Some of you know what I'm talking about right now. What do you want to do here? Do you want to be rich materially or do you want to be rich spiritually? It's a choice. It's a choice. I know what I'm going to do. Got a super chat from Hero today, sending you lots of love. He said, Waters, my dad suffers from a bad case of restless leg preventing sleep for long periods of time. Doctor has cut off medications and this worries him. Overweight and double knee replacement thoughts. Yeah, well, he's probably having a lack of circulation, and this definitely will continue to compound if he doesn't move his body more. One thing I would recommend in this case is a rebounder. And you could probably get a rebounder. Make sure that you look for his weight limit on the rebounder because I'm not sure how overweight he is, but this is a great thing to invest in, a rebounder with a bar on it, like a safety bar. This is something I've recommended also for pregnant women who want to be able to get their lymph moving safely, okay? So that we don't have a pregnant lady like sitting on a Basu ball, like, and then tips over and has an accident, you know? We want you to be safe. And the same thing goes with overweight people, especially if they've had knee injuries in the past. I think the rebounder would be an amazing investment for this person so they could get the lymph moving, get the blood circulating in a very safe way, a cheap, easy way. Most people have apartments that are even tall enough ceilings where they could use this rebounder. It's not a fucking trampoline. You don't need to invest in a huge, in this big ordeal where you need it outside and such. Like you could get a tiny little one, help your dad put it together. The safety bar recommendation just might be good to have initially so that if he does have some knee pain or if this is a very foreign thing to him, he could feel safe while he's doing it. And you'll set up a little program, 5 minutes for the first week every other day, and then take it to 5 minutes or 10 minutes every day instead of every other day. And then by like month 2, he's going to love doing it. He's going to love doing it. He's going to get his lymph moving. He's going to get a lot of his blood circulating throughout the body. Lots of toxins will start to get out through urine, feces, etc., because of moving the lymph. And I think that's a good place to start because if he's overweight, it's probably going to be pretty tough to change the food. Although that would really be what we want to do. We really want to change the food. And yeah, there's probably some mineral deficiencies here as well. He's probably consuming lots of dairy, which is going to strip calcium from the bone. It will lead to osteoporosis. So, if we could remove all of that, that would be good. Like removing overly acidic foods that are not even designed for adult human, anyways. I mean, I just don't know, Hero, today. But if you want to have something that's very, very thorough, holistic, covers everything. It's the expansion mastermind. I'm going to have that on Black Friday sale very soon. So if that's something you think would benefit, you could even go through it yourself and share the wisdom with your father, help him out. But I think that recommendation that I just gave is a great starting point for you. And I appreciate your support. Sarah Kelly, much love over to Australia. This is a good comment. Michael says, if cattle weren't okay with being eaten, then they came to the wrong planet. Hmm. Do you eat dogs or cats? Do you eat skunks? You probably wouldn't be so happy if you saw your dog's body being put through a meat grinder and seasoned and then put into a sausage casing and then being used as a hot dog. That'd probably be pretty weird, right? Anyways, I'm not going to talk about food anymore. I want the last bit of our live stream to be a stream of consciousness and to have fun. Decode your reality, send in lots of love. Hope you're having an amazing, amazing weekend. Oh, I made it to the end of the chat. I love you guys. This has been amazing. 2 hours, probably one of my favorite live streams we've done. And wow, we touched on everything today. Some really powerful thoughts. I should be moving on though. I have a lot to take care of in the background. I have this Trinity masterclass I'm trying to have ready. I'm trying to have it ready by 2 weeks is my deadline. If I could pull it off, guys, I figured out a way to clone myself, I swear. I'm trying to figure out how to do that. Somebody call up Anthony Fauci and get a Waters Above duplicate. Somebody that could help me out on this. But no, seriously, all jokes aside, I'm having a fucking blast working on this Trinity Masterclass. I've compiled so many frequently asked questions that I've received from the first 2 installments, the Perception Mastery and Duality Masterclass. And then it also includes the crypto decoding blueprint, which if any of you went through that crypto decoding blueprint, you expected this breakout right now, because I taught in that to expect price discovery after the 4th solar eclipse of our solar cycle. And that was on October 2nd. And here we are 1 month later, and we watched Bitcoin break out. So we're there, man. And I think I haven't looked at the charts today, but I do believe that Ethereum is now catching up. And these are all the signs we want for the alt season to come very soon. So this next podcast that I have coming out, I'm going to just pull up this real quick. Did show you a little bit earlier. But this red pill that I have coming out tomorrow is powerful. It's going to be the post-selection special, going over everything that I've shared in my Black Moon Decoded, as well as everything that was covered in my last red pill before that selection happened, where I started that one off by saying Donald Trump will become the 47th president of the United States of America. And then I went into a decode exposing his code and then exposing Kamala's code, sharing the reason why I went with him. And then this selection has come and gone. We all know the results so far, but I do have some powerful code that I found within that decode that I started to apply to the outcome of this event. And I think I'm onto something coming up very soon. So this decode, I will be sharing a very powerful date a month in advance. And then also I'll be going over the entire stock market and precious metals. So I've had a lot of people lately, they want to know my thoughts since this FOMC meeting has come and gone as well. Perfect timing. So we have Bitcoin price discovery. We have stock market price discovery too, because the NASDAQ, S&P, and Dow Jones have went on to new all-time highs. And then we also have precious metals doing really well, even though there has been a little bit of a pullback with this selection time frame. So I am really looking forward to this one because it's going to be a comprehensive podcast. Stock market, including the Russell 2000, plus silver and gold technical analysis. And then I'll be doing about 4 different altcoins and a recap on Dogecoin, because that's one of my biggest holdings, funny enough. Don't you guys find it really funny? I have to share this real quick, and then I will get to these final couple of super chats that I see have come in at the end. But remember, guys, when the Year of the Dragon started, I made my Year of the Dragon Decoded, and a lot of people were hearing me talk about Dogecoin. And they were like, but Waters, you do the Chinese zodiac, working with Chinese astrology. Don't you know that the dog is the enemy sign of the dragon? And I said, that's not the way that I'm perceiving any of this. That is very exoteric. And that's why I made it a point during my Black Moon Decoded to point out the fact that, yes, Trump is a dog year. But when you apply this gnosis, you look at when the San Francisco 49ers were formed, it was in 1946, which was the same year that Donald Trump was born. And they won during the Year of the Dragon into 89. That's Super Bowl. I believe Joe Montana was quarterback. So you can have positive outcomes for dog years during the Year of the Dragon. We just watched it happen with Trump beating Kamala, who's a wood dragon, and this is her year. So the code that we apply here is much more than just looking at basic numerology and basic Chinese zodiac. We're compiling so many different systems in together as one. So this red pill that I have coming out tomorrow, it's going to take some of the code that we had from the Black Moon Decoded, as well as my last red pill podcast. It was the election special. And we're going to be diving into the periodic table, breaking down some really powerful stuff that I found from 1941. Also, the Year of the Snake, since we're moving into the Year of the Snake very soon. And it's just going to be baller. So many things to share in this new podcast. So that'll be available for our mastermind community over at patreon.com/watersabove. Really grateful for all of your continued support. And I'm just going to wrap up this live answering a couple supers. Hero today. Okay, I see your follow-up. You said, I appreciate your wisdom from my dad. A coworker of mine had a question about DeFi, specifically a liquidity account for lenders and making interest. What do you mean? Decentralized finance is a whole blanket term for many, many different things. So what exactly is the question? A liquidity account for lenders and making interest. One of the things that I would share, since you didn't really give me the name of a project, I would be very, very cautious at this time. Okay, for everyone who's listening, be very cautious about any earned interest stuff right now. I think I will be 100% vulnerable with everyone. I even made this fucking mistake in the last cycle, chasing earned interest with things like Celsius and BlockFi, and we saw how that went down. So because of the bullshit that went down with FTX, which I never promoted, and I also knew that would crash because I was looking into Sam Bankman-Fried and the whole Ponzi that was going on with these crazy leverage instruments that were being offered on FTX, but that's another story, needless to say. The explosion of FTX led to the bullshit that went down with Celsius and BlockFi. And I'm not trying to say that the people behind Celsius or BlockFi are good actors, but I'm just letting you know there is no reason to chase earned interest right now, guys, because we'll see projects go up 8, 9, 10, 20, 30% in a single fucking day during alt season. I mean, I'm just peering at the charts right now, and ETH is already up 6%. So there's no reason to chase that and have your coins locked up on a centralized exchange. You're going to get fucked if you're not in the right place at the right time and you can't get out of it. So it's so much better right now to just hold and have an exit strategy. That would be my advice. Don't fuck around with staking right now. Don't fuck around with earned interest. This is a very volatile market, and we're kind of at the beginning of the end. So you want to be situated and prepared to actually take action on your exit strategy when the time comes. You don't want to be caught up in the nonsense that happened with the Celsius BlockFi and all that other bullshit in the last cycle. I got a super chat from the Posing Pro. Appreciate you. Sending lots of love out to the UK. You said, Waters, we appreciate you and are thankful for all the work you do and the knowledge you provide. In your opinion, what is the best form of exercise for health, and do you practice this? The best form of exercise would be calmness. The best form of exercise would be chill mode. If you can be chill, you can do some amazing shit with just your mind. I think the mental exercise is probably the most important. And I've seen people who have crazy physiques. Like I'm telling you, like fucking 7% body fat, like they're shredded to the bone, but they have zero self control. They're addicted to porn, alcohol, steroids, horrible binge eating. After they get shredded, they blow back up like a balloon. They're very extreme people. So it does not matter what's the best form of exercise or any of that shit if you have no stillness, if you're not stoic, if you're not calm and chill and able to take on the chaos of the outside world and transmute it. All right. So now with that out of the way, I think the best form of anything would be something that you can do without the need of any particular time, place, environment thing. So instead of getting so caught up at the gym, learn how to master calisthenics. That will probably be the best for your joints, for longevity, for movement of lymph, all things considered. And then you're building a skill. Whilst sure, you can build the skill of learning how to deadlift and then do one fucking deadlift wrong and slip a disc. Okay. So I'm not anti powerlifting or anti lifting heavy, but I'm just telling you the reality of the situation. Calisthenics are king, and then fasting. So a combination of knowing how to fast and the mental exercise of fasting is also another thing to overcome, because eating is an addiction that everyone has. So yeah, reduction. Do less supplements, less processed food, less eating, less fancy stuff. Nature is simple. And I appreciate your support. Sending lots of love. All right. I love you guys. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your Saturn day. You guys are amazing. I'm really grateful to be here with you every single week. What a week it's been in the Matrix. Shout out to Decode Your Reality for hanging out with us near the end. Really grateful for him and all of the great work he shared with all of us. And I'm looking forward to reconnecting with him again soon. I think even though we just touched base a couple weeks ago, which by the way, you could check that out on his channel. So make sure to go check out Decode Your Reality's channel and our recent podcast we did together. I think it was number 18. So big number 19 coming soon. And it's amazing to think that we've almost done 20 fucking podcasts together. Like, holy moly. That's insane. Crazy. Anyways, I love you guys. I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your weekend in the Matrix. Anyone out there that's part of our Mastermind community over on Patreon, I will have this new Red Pill podcast available tomorrow. I love you guys, and catch you all very soon. Much love.